Where's my live? There it is. All right. We are live, baby. We made it. We're on, baby. We're on. We are on. Real Canada in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We are on live, baby. We are on live. And y'all know we like the live. It's time to get the Real Canada fam in full effect, baby. We're about to talk some real stuff to here today. We already got 10 people in the room already. Big up to y'all coming out early on time. I love the promptness. Big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to all of y'all in the chat. Make sure you hit that chat all over the place. Valerie, big up to you. THCFO Accounting. I like that, Valerie. Big up to you. My man Gaetano in the building. My man Gaetano's in the building. The mayor of Brick City, Mr. Cannabis himself. All right. Who else is in the building? Everybody hit the chat right now. Guys, there's a chat. Make sure you put the chat in, man. Make sure that you say who you are. Plug yourself. Do not be scared. I am a marketer by trade. This is my thing. I don't do these conferences just to promote myself and everybody else. It is about all of us, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to plug your businesses. This is about us growing this New Jersey, New York market, man, together as a family, ladies and gentlemen. So post up. Let everybody know what you do, man. Let's get these plugs going. Let's get them going. You know how we do it, Real Canada. And Valerie, I like you, Valerie. I like it. She's proactive. Valerie's proactive. She's from Cali. Big up, Valerie. Cali in the building. West Coast checking in, man. Valerie. That's what I'm talking about. She's up early in the morning. It's 9 a.m. over there. Valerie, big up to you, man. Represent accounting in the building. Accounting, you know we need it. We need it, man. We're going to have another session on accounting as well. You're going to see some more webinars that we do. And we're going to talk a little bit and share some jewels. So, Valerie, make sure you're there for that one. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. Everybody else, hit the chat, guys. If you're on social media, you can also chat. And LinkedIn, you can, not LinkedIn, sorry. Instagram, Facebook, and whatever other platforms we're on. Okay? Sydney from Florida. Big up, Sydney. Soto in the building. Sydney, another one of our mastermind members is in the building. Gaetano in the building. Another one of our mastermind members. Teresa Kearney's in the building. Panacea Payroll's in the building, baby. Yes, sir. You want to get your HR, want to get your payroll right for all your cannabis businesses? She's probably the only and the best and the only source that you have, guys. Go to Panacea Payroll. Seriously, do not try to handle your HR. Do not try to be messing around with the books and doing all this crazy stuff with hiring. Do you know that we got an attorney on here, Andrew Cooper, today, right? So we're going to talk about some legalities, right? You know, everybody's very sue happy. You didn't know about that in the cannabis business when it comes to employees, right? But I talked to all my friends, and they all seem to tell me the same thing. All my cannabis dispensary owners, they said, you got to protect yourself, man, because your employees can get very sue happy on you as well. So that's the reason why you got to have all the ducks in a row, man. So big up. That's why you got to get Teresa Kearney and Panacea Payroll. So big up to Teresa. Big up. Another one of our mastermind members, Teresa Kearney. She's been in our mastermind for over a year. Big superstar. She does more trade shows, more shows than anybody else that I know out there, man. She knows more people in the cannabis industry, and she's doing it big. So, guys, go to Panacea Payroll. Teresa, make sure you slap that URL up in the chat, guys. Don't be scared. Y'all know how I do, man. Do not be scared. Put your URL in that chat. Do not hold back. It's the shameless, selfless promoters who make it to the next level. It is not those who are being shy in the cut. You're going to take a long time. So, guys, get out there, man. That's right, Valerie. Throw that URL up. Let's go. Put your websites up, y'all. Come on, man. I got to market hard, man. 22 people in the building already. Let's go. All right, 4 minutes in. I got to get into my intro because I'm not going to hold. I know Andrew's very busy, man. Big up to Andrew Cooper for coming in and representing New York, baby. New York, baby. Let's go, Andrew. That's my guy right there. I love this guy. He's a real dude, man. That's why I had to bring him here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do, man. We're going to make sure that we bring you real people, not just people that have the information, not just people who just might be in the way, not just people that might. We're bringing in people that we have real relationships, the people that really help people that are out there assisting others getting forward, man. That's the way I'm building this whole network of people that are all really great people, man. Big up to you. Big up to you for throwing up your URL in the chat. I can't see your name. It says hello from NY, thejaljohnny.com, and we created .biz. Guys, make sure you put your names in the thing because I won't see your name. It'll just say hi to me or something like that. Matt Rubel, what's up, baby? You said, what's up, Andrew? Matt said, let's go, Andrew. Let's go. All right, enough wilding, guys. Let me get into the whole spiel so we can get it going. My name is Gary George. I am co-founder, one half of Real Cannabis Entrepreneur. My wife and I started this organization back in 2017 when we saw that cannabis was coming to New Jersey. Couldn't believe it was coming, but it started to come. So we started to travel the whole United States, going to all the different cannabis conferences, looking around, seeing what was out there. And when we went there, I was surprised. Why? Because I own a 27-year-old digital marketing agency. I'm a marketer. I speak from the stages. I speak marketing at big marketing conferences, and I was expecting to see some of the same things in the cannabis industry, and I did not. It was a huge gap. There was a whole bunch of people talking about their dog, how much money they made, this, that, and third, but nobody was really telling me, yo, this is how I did it. I did this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, right? I was more accustomed to that in regular traditional side marketing business and stuff that I do. Didn't find it in cannabis after I looked all around and couldn't find it, ladies and gentlemen. You do what all great marketers do. We make our own solution, baby. We make our own solution. That's right. I made this conference for myself. This my own self. I made it for me. I wanted to know this information. I couldn't find it, so I had to make it. And that's the way it is. Lori, Panacea, Payroll, big up, big up, big up. Cannabis Designs on Tees, we created that biz. Sandra from NYC, big up, NYC in the building, NYC in the building. That's right. Put it up there, y'all, and I'll plug it. I'll put it up there and I'll plug it. All right. So back to the story, guys. So after that, we developed this conference. I called up a couple of my buddies who've been in the cannabis industry for a long time, 10 plus 20 years. Say, hey, guys, would you mind sharing your secrets of exactly how you got into the cannabis business? And they said, Gary, you know what? Nobody's ever even asked us that, man. That's so dope. I would love to share this information, especially with the new fledgling guys coming out of Jersey. And that's how Real Canna was born, ladies and gentlemen. 5 years ago, we're now 5 years in. This is our 11th show. 11th show, ladies and gentlemen. That's what persistence and hard work is all made of. So without further ado, October 5th and 6th, ladies and gentlemen, that's the next one. We sell them out every single year. We started in 2019. We sold that one out. We had people come far as Zimbabwe. Last year, we had to upgrade to the largest hotel ballroom north of Atlantic City, and we still overflowed the parking lot. So much so that this year they've assigned us private parking attendants, and we also have the Overflow Hotel on the right to support everybody's parking. So anybody who didn't make it last year, you weren't able to park because it was so jam-packed, don't worry, we got you this year. We told the DoubleTree. We told them that cannabis brings it like this. They didn't want to believe it, but they had to see it firsthand. So we're going to show them again this year. Yes, sir. Real Canna in the building, Teresa in the building, everybody else in the building, guys. You're going to have 40 plus speakers. Andrew Cooper, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait a minute. I ain't even make all my announcements. Hold on. I'm still wilding out here. Hold on. I'm still bugging out. Let me calm myself down, man. I got to get focused. All right. Real Cannabis Entrepreneur, ladies and gentlemen, October 5th and 6th, DoubleTree, October 5th and 6th. Ladies and gentlemen, get it right now. You can get tickets 40% off. I know it says 50%. I didn't change it, but it's 40% right now. And I'm going to give you guys an extra coupon because you're here at the webinar. All my people who stick in the webinar, I know that you're about that life. So I'm going to give you a $20 off coupon, ladies and gentlemen. Go there, and when you check out on Eventbrite, just use this webinar code. Use this code, Webinar Fam, 20 off. Webinar Fam, 20 off, baby. And you're going to get another $20 off, ladies and gentlemen. That's a dirt cheap ticket right there. That's like $30 a day. $30 a day. Who wastes that every day? How much weed do we waste on a daily basis? How many roaches you got sitting around as half smoked that you threw out and you didn't re-roll them? We all wasted $30 every day, all day, ladies and gentlemen. So go to realcanna23.com, realcanna23.com. That's our short link to get you to our regular URL, realcanna23.com, guys, and put in the code WebinarFam20 off. Now, you also hear me talk much about our private mastermind group, and everybody bugs me about getting in the mastermind group. It's a private group we started back in 2017. Guy Tano's part of it. Kim B's part of it. Chef Jazz is part of it. Tara's part of it. Dr. David's part of it. Teresa from Panacea Payroll. We got some heavy hitters, guys. We got over 172 people in our private mastermind group, our private cannabis professionals that we train, and we share information, and we go back and forth to help each other grow and sharpen each other's business skills and accountability. And if you think you're ready to take your business to the next level, ladies and gentlemen, check out our mastermind group. Go to realcannabisentrepreneur.com/mastermind. That's realcannabisentrepreneur.com/mastermind. Now, we don't let everybody in. You got to be qualified, but you can apply there, and you'll get to go through a full interview with me to ensure that you are in the right place to join our group, man, because our group is very dynamic. We share a bunch. We've already done over 7 figures of referrals in that group alone since we've started it. It is just a powerful, ridiculously powerful tool in all of our tool chests. It's one of the things that I've used to grow my businesses over 20 years. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And one of the things I always did was invest and make sure that I would be around people smarter than myself. And I was always in these masterminds and other things with guys that were doing it bigger than me, and I was learning from them very early. So I've carried that along and do the same thing in cannabis, guys. Invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself and put yourself around people smarter than you, you are not going to move fast enough to be on the par, baby. So that's what I do, and that's what I encourage everybody else to do. We get in the private cannabis mastermind group, ladies and gentlemen, realcannabisentrepreneur.com/mastermind. All right, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Without further ado, that was a lot of announcements. Got my man Andrew on deck, man, and he's going to blow it up, guys. We saw what's happening in New York. We saw what's going on with the stall over there. Can you believe it again? This is the second time. First one came out, it was Brooklyn. Then it was upstate. And now it's the whole damn colada, man. You know, the veterans came out and they're arguing this case, saying, hey, it's unconstitutional because of the social equity and other people who are negatively impacted by drugs should not get it before we get it, right? And so they made a big stink, and now we got a big problem. So that's why I wanted to bring on Andrew Cooper today, a master, super duper master attorney, man, who does really high level stuff that I know would have a deep understanding that can really break it down for us in layman's terms. And this is what I wanted you guys to understand. The reason why I brought this on too. This is a business play, right? Everybody looks at this politics, but politics is part of business in cannabis. So we got to look at them hand in hand, right? But this is a business play. That's the reason why you saw me write some of those bullets and say, this is, think of how these stalls are going to affect neighboring markets and stuff like that. So that's why we got to bring on Andrew Cooper, man. Super attorney, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I'm going to bring him on because I just gave him some long intros and all that other good stuff. Let's get him hyped, y'all. No, first, wait, everybody, put the A's in the chat. My bad. No, my bad. We can't bring him out yet. Put the A's in the chat, y'all. Let's go. Put the A's in the chat first so I can bring him out. Bring him out. We got to get him hyped. Y'all know how we do it, real Cannabis. If he ain't hyping enough, we can't bring him out. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Get him hyped. Throw the A's in the chat. Everybody throw A's in the chat right now. Let's go, Teresa. Let's go. Throw the A's in the chat, man. Let's go. We got to get Matt. We got to get Andrew. Come on, y'all. He ain't hyping up. Let's go, Matt. A's in the chat. Let's go. All right. Let's get him ready, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all warming him up. Yes, right. My man from NY. Put the A's in the chat. Let's make Andrew feel warm. Welcome in New Jersey. We got to welcome in New Jersey, even though he's always in New Jersey. We got to welcome to New Jersey. Lori, yes, put the A's in the chat. Astoria, put the A's in the chat. Queens in the building, put the A's in the chat. Let's go. Cali in the building, put the A's in the chat. All right, here we go. I think we're ready. I think he's ready, y'all. Y'all ready? Let's bring him on. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Cooper, super duper attorney, cannabis attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
Right.
My man, Andrew.
Yeah. I am feeling the love, man.
How are you?
I am feeling the love. I got to tell you, man. Thank you. I mean, I got to tell you, man. Looking behind you at that banner, man. I think that was like the first event that I went to online during the pandemic. And you gave me a vision for the future that I've never lost, man. I've never lost it. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it, man, so much of having you as part of everything that goes on. You're such an invaluable resource, and that's the reason why. And you, my ladies and gentlemen, you hear me talk about being a shameless, selfless giver. That's what Andrew does, man. He gives all the time, guys. He's helped me with multiple things, help a lot of people all the time. He's not just a person out here to just trying to make a buck. He's the opposite of that, and that's why we rock with the people that are here who are trying to really help overall, man. Big up to you, Andrew. Big up to you, brother. Big up. Yeah. All right, Andrew. So we're gonna get into it today, man. I want you to we're gonna talk a little bit about New York, man. And you've been doing a bunch in the cannabis space, you know, all kind of stuff. I want you to give a little brief intro for the people who might not know who you are, man. Let them know where you came from, what you do in the cannabis space.
So you know, in a nutshell, I was a trial lawyer, mainly handling IP, intellectual property matters, design, patent, copyright, trademark. A lot of healthcare, which is very regulatory and compliance heavy in commercial litigation matters. Started litigating in cannabis about 7 years ago. Fast forward to the pandemic, and just thought it was time, man. Things were changing. You know, we had 2 states that I practice in that were emerging at the same time, and it seemed like an opportunity to move into a space where I could actually work, enjoy every day, and make a big difference in how the markets were emerging. And I made that commitment since that time. You know, as you know, I'm also a board member of the Justice Foundation. We got a presence in New York and New Jersey. We're out there trying to make a difference, educating, giving people opportunities and options to learn about this market and what they need to do to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. So, Andrew, we're going to talk a bit today, man, about the New York stall, right? What's going on? All the cannabis is stalled over there because of the lawsuit. And I wanted to bring you on, like I said, to give us some real insight as to what this really means, what could potentially happen, What can the operators do to protect themselves during these types of things? And what learning lessons can we all pull away from these things as we go into other markets and experience the same things? Guys, remember, historical data is what makes you really flow from a business perspective, looking long term. So we got to look at the history of what's happening. So, Andrew, we're going to cover a lot of that today, man, and then some.
Sure.
But I wanted to get started, man, with New York, the whole stalling. I want you to first just break it down to everybody. What does that mean? When they say the veterans came, they went to what? They went to the state. They put up a lawsuit. Give us a little layman's lay down on what really happened.
Yeah, so let's just look at the big framework. Lawsuits in cannabis are not new. In fact, it's pretty much standard fare. Every state with an emerging market has seen lawsuits questioning the validity of the program that's developed by the state, whether they favor social equity applicants or something else. And New Jersey saw that too. 2019, the medical program stalled. So it's not new. What is new is some people would argue that OCM and the state have showed a bit of a level of arrogance in the way they've rolled out the program. Now, I'm not necessarily being critical, but I am suggesting that this most recent lawsuit, the Judge Bryant, who has this case, along with the case brought by the ROs, they were consolidated together after this lawsuit was filed. He basically, in his tone, in his most recent decision, took issue with the way the state basically ignored some of the issues that were now obvious, or at least argued by the plaintiff. So let's back up for a second. Remember, we had Varicite, right? We had the ROs. We had an argument that was made in federal court. There was a alleged violation of this program or concept called the Dormant Commerce Clause. Dormant Commerce Clause basically says you can't treat out-of-state residents any different. We held up 5 regions for months. Ultimately, we released it except for the Finger Lakes. That case was ultimately settled, and we thought we were on our way. Problem was, it kind of gave a roadmap to others. So the issue here for service-disabled vets, the main plaintiff named Carmine Fiore brought a lawsuit arguing fundamentally that the CARD program was not compliant and that it wasn't contemplated by the regulations that were enacted to legalize cannabis, the law called the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act. And the fact of the matter is it was. And similarly, the language in the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act specifically said that all license applications shall open at the same time. Because the CARD program created a priority for what we call justice-involved individuals, which some of you remember required 2 components fundamentally. One, a qualifying cannabis conviction, and a 10% or more ownership interest in an entity that's shown a net profit for 2 years. So those criteria were established, gave an opportunity for people who met the criteria to apply well before everybody else. So the issue became, was that something that was constitutional, and that the legislation that made adult use recreational legal didn't talk about it, and in fact specifically said all license applications shall open at the same time. So at the end of the day, that's the language that's being relied on by the 4 service-disabled vets in bringing this lawsuit that basically shut down the program. We could talk more about some of the nuances and what the most recent order, but I want to give you the background to how we got here.
Yeah, that's good. That is great. That is great, Andrew. That gives us a real understanding. Now, I have another question that I've always been curious about these lawsuits all the time, popping up in these different states that stall the whole program. What is in these guys? Are these guys getting paid by somebody to bring these lawsuits, Andrew? It just doesn't seem logical to me. Is this veteran guy really sat there and he thought of this in his own head and said, this is unconstitutional? Was he studying the cannabis rules that much? I just don't tend to buy this, guys. It's something else. I just don't know where these guys come from all the time. It's kind of wild. Like, who thinks of that? Who does that?
Well, that's a great question, Garrett.
Yeah.
Some people would say that it's a creation of the lawyers representing them. And being a lawyer, I guess I can say that. I can say it out loud. But no, just like the ROs, when the ROs went and filed their lawsuit, right, the medical operators, because they wanted into the program before the regulations provided that they could. So there was a moratorium. It was going to have to be 3 years, right? They didn't want to wait 3 years. They made it clear they didn't want to wait 3 years. They wanted in with everybody else. They brought a lawsuit arguing they shouldn't be prevented from entering the marketplace. Now, that case was not resolved, but what did happen is the revised or amended regulations after following a comment period, all of a sudden gave them access to the market, the adult use recreational market, as of December 31st of this year. They don't have to wait 3 years from the date the first dispensary opens, which is what the MRTA actually initially contemplated. So now people would say, well, they didn't seek an injunction. They brought a lawsuit. So now we got 4 service disabled vets who basically are set to be able to apply in the second round of licensing. We know now early October. So some would say, why in the world would they shut down this program, arguing somehow they lost a first mover advantage when they're literally a month and a half away from applying to enter the same market? And remember, they get a super priority under the law, right? So the super priority is given to effectively three classes. One, social equity, meeting those criteria, and we don't need to get into the details of that. The second group, distressed farmers. The third group, service disabled vets. They get in ahead of minority and women-owned businesses who are priority but not super priority. So people would wonder, and to your point, there are rumors everywhere. Who is funding this lawsuit? and you know what?
That's what I tend to say, man. It doesn't make sense. There's no average person doing all of that. No average person thinking about all this. I don't think an average person, just like you said, they get to the attorney start getting in their heads, and then they start saying, hey, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. And then I think those guys just go with it, but it's crazy. We've seen it in Ohio too. Same thing happened over there, right? Same thing with the stall over there. It was a craziness. So I tend to say, who are these people? Is this the same guys? Are these the same guys that go from state to state? I'm like, who is it? You know, because it's crazy.
Yeah. So if they looked at the prior lawsuit as a gauge, ultimately that lawsuit was resolved. The Verisite lawsuit was resolved, and the plaintiff apparently was given a license. Now, I'm not speaking with detail. I'm just talking about conceptually. That's what we believe happened as a resolution. And the truth is, in other lawsuits that have been brought in other states, you know, the plaintiffs assume that the resolution will ultimately be that they will be given a license they otherwise either weren't entitled to or didn't qualify for. So, but by all accounts, with a super priority, service disabled vets are positioned very well to be licensed. It's hard to imagine they couldn't qualify and their application wouldn't ultimately be such that they were awarded a license. So once again, back to your question, who's funding this lawsuit and why now?
Yeah, why now? Why now that everything else is, and it's always, you know, I find these things very, it's like putting together a big puzzle. It's like figuring out a big freaking, you know, a wild goose chase of figuring out who's got what priority, who's got this agenda to try to figure out who's pushing what. But it's very massive and it's very interesting sometimes to just see it all, watch it play out. And that's why I wanted to bring you on here, Andrew, to give us some more insight about some of the things that I look at it. I was just wondering about, like that question I just had there. I was always wondering, where do these guys come from? What does this happen? Now, when this happens, Andrew, let's talk about the severity of this. Now, you said injunction versus a lawsuit. You said about a lawsuit versus injunction. I want you to explain what's the difference between that.
Okay. So the lawsuit argues that there are certain claims that the plaintiffs have against the defendants for certain conduct that they allege occurred. The lawsuit alone could seek things like a declaratory judgment, meaning a declaration that something was invalid, unconstitutional, or unlawful. So they brought a lawsuit arguing that they were harmed in some way by the conduct or misconduct that's alleged that the state undertook. An injunction doesn't happen by itself. The injunction component of a lawsuit is usually brought by what's called order to show cause. It's a request. When you file your lawsuit, it's a request that the court enter what we call interim relief. That is, judge, you have to do this to maintain status quo. Status quo being no change, no progression. So when the Fiore plaintiffs brought their lawsuit, they brought a complaint, they filed a complaint. They also filed what's called a temporary restraining order. They brought it, these are legal terms, temporary restraining order, order to show cause. Order to show cause is a way to get an order in front of the court immediately without waiting for the process to move forward. The TRO is called, it's a temporary restraining order. It means pending or until the judge can hear the arguments, he's stopping or entering a restraining order, preventing anything from proceeding. he entered that restraining order, Judge Bryant did, and then he had a hearing. The hearing was 11 days ago, Friday. And at that time, he heard argument on the injunction application. Injunction application is another name for a restraining order. Without getting mired into the details of a permanent injunction versus a temporary injunction, the fact of the matter is he continued to stay at that time, which is he continued the order that stopped the card program from doing anything.
Right.
He heard oral argument. He continued that. He asked for additional briefing on Tuesday of last week. On Friday, he issued a new order. That new order basically continued the injunction. Even though he had continued the hearing, apparently he was compelled to enter an order, perhaps motivated by the fact that one of the plaintiffs, the consortium of ROs, sent a letter in telling the judge that despite the judge's directive that the parties try to resolve the lawsuit, that the defendants, the OCM and the state, had told the plaintiffs they were not interested in continuing to negotiate. Now, I don't know for sure, but it would seem to me that in part motivated the judge to enter a second order, basically continuing the restraining order he had already entered, but also creating criteria. So now here's where we are today. Where we are today is the judge ordered OCM to submit a list of card licensees that qualify for an exception to the injunction. And when I say qualify, it's because the judge said in his order on Friday afternoon that was the second order. Friday afternoon, he said that those licensees that have received site plan approval will be accepted from the application of the restraining order. Now, site plan approval is interesting. It's
interesting.
Yeah. It's not, some people read it initially as being site approval, which is obviously very different than site plan approval, because site plan approval is basically, you've completed your post-selection application. So just so you understand, New Jersey has a conditional license, and you have to convert it to an annual.
Yeah.
The card license was basically a provisional license that you have to convert to a final or annual. So New Jersey, conditional annual, New York, provisional annual. And part of that process requires submission of what we call post-selection application. Similar to what you need to do to convert a conditional license to an annual one in New Jersey. You need you need security plan, site plan, you need all of the details, you need labor peace agreements, you need all those other pieces.
Right.
So basically the judge said, okay, here's a very small group, and we don't know exactly what the number is. Some people estimate that group who've actually gotten to the point of receiving site plan approval, almost final approval, to be perhaps as many as 70 card licensees. So they presumably will be on this OCM list that's published today, and they will be accepted from the injunction and allowed to proceed. Now remember, we had a lot of licensees who were literally ready to open. They were either days, a week, or 2 weeks away from opening their retail site or their delivery site, and they were shut down. And those are the people the judge created this, basically a list where he felt that they've invested enough time and money based solely on the fact that they're that close to opening, and he felt that those people should be allowed to proceed. So
that is a good point. Hold on, I'm gonna stop you, Andrew. I'm gonna stop you, ladies and gentlemen. That was it. You hear him? Andrew gave us a grandiose summarization of what's going on, but I think that was the important aspect of what really is happening that, again, I didn't understand. I'm reading through the legalese, and I read through some, but I breezed through it. But like Andrew said, at least the judge, because I was thinking that everybody was just SOL over there, that they were just saying, oh, everything's frozen, blah 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 blah. But now, hearing Andrew and you explaining it, that the judge, this is why I guess went down last Friday. He said, hey guys, whoever invested enough, you got into the final steps, you at least got site plan, this, that, that. All right, we're going to let you proceed, right? I know that's a good thing. That's a great thing. I'm really glad that they did. I will big up New York for being flexible and doing things outside of the normal, what I've seen some other states do. So I do appreciate the fact that they at least did that, because it could get really ugly. I know for many others though, and I know from us going through the process in New Jersey, and from me and all my different consulting clients going through the process, getting to that final stage is the very last piece. You could be so close. We can have everything else in the pile, but not have our site plan, not have this. The architect didn't come out, and then you can't get it based off of what this New York judge says. So I know there's a lot of other people who were about this close to getting all those things, and then got hit with this. I know they're sick right now. I know they're like, yo, now, judge, you got to do something. I might not have my site plan done, but I got this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that, but I don't know if what's going to happen, Andrew. Does the judge have any leeway to individually make concessions for individuals to say, hey, judge, wait, man, hold on. I got everything else but the site plan, man, everything.
So Gary, you must be reading the judge's mind, because what the judge did was he created a separate second category. And the second category he established was basically for those who felt that they had invested sufficient money, made the efforts. They were given an opportunity on a case-by-case basis to have OCM act on their behalf and go to Judge Bryant with those details, including the efforts, expenses, and receipts, and say these people should also be accepted. Now, the protocol he established is strange in its uniqueness. So the judge basically expects a regular, almost weekly, if not bi-weekly dialogue with OCM regarding progress, both relating to other card licensees and overall program, because they argued earlier at the hearing that this injunction would delay their ability to roll out the next round of licensing. So it looks like right now Judge Bryant is going to consider, in addition to the OCM's list, other applicants, other licensees who have invested sufficient or significant, we don't know exactly how much that means, time and expense into moving the process forward. And hopefully on a case-by-case basis, they will also be accepted from the injunction. Now, we'll also add that this list comes out today. Objections to those on the list can be filed by Thursday. Now, you say objections, who's going to object?
Right.
Well, the plaintiffs can object, although I don't expect the plaintiffs will. But presumably other card licensees could object, although that would seem to be a bit self-defeating, because they'd be arguing you shouldn't give it to him.
Right.
You can't give it to me.
Right.
So,
that'll get convoluted real fast.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, wow. So this is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear that? I mean, this is kind of unprecedented. I don't think I've ever heard any other state where they had individual concessions. And I didn't even know. I was just asking that random question. I really didn't know that they actually did that. So big up to New York, man. Big up to y'all. I have to give New York some props, though, man. They do be thinking out the box. I do have to say that, man. I will say, even though some of the things didn't come to fruition or didn't pan out the way that they wanted them to, some of the initial things that they thought of, I did think that they put a significant thought, and it was pretty ingenious, some of the things that they did, including having the funding available for the social equity applicants to get those real estate, getting the retail and that kind of thing. I know that there's a big fallout with that because the funding wasn't there. Now the funding just got, I think some company came up and said, we're going to put the money in, 150 million or whatever. And now they're moving forward with that. And there's pros and cons to taking that money. There's pros and cons. A lot of people, I heard them fighting back because they were saying, oh, if we take this money, they're giving us this crazy build out cost. And guys, this is another thing I'm going to tell you to be aware of as a business person. You got to know, right? It sounds good having the state coming in and giving you the bread and owning the building that you're in, and you're in business with the state. But here's the other side. The state does some things that a normal nimble business can't do, like find other vendors that can do the same job for half the price that we're going to go through enough time to sift through. But from the state level, they don't have time to do all of that. So they're just going to go to their tried and true guys and make sure that everything's 100, what they should do, make sure there's no problems. They're going to go with their top level guys. But now it's like a record deal. This is exactly like the music industry all over again. Now they're fronting you. They're giving you a loan. They're basically giving you money in advance that you got to pay back. So now you got this $1 million worth of build out, and everybody else built out for 400,000. But yours was 600,000 more because they put all these other line items and use their top end vendors. So that was kind of the thing I see people fighting about. It's a catch-22. I mean, if you don't have the money, hey, what are you going to do? Something's better than nothing. But if you do, and then you say, oh man, but I'm going to get all this big debt and I don't have to take that debt, then use your own money and just go your own way. So that's the thing. You got to look at it, guys. You got to look at all these things from what's best for me at that time. If I didn't have the money and it was do or die and it was no, okay, fine, go with the state. You ain't got no choice. Something's better than nothing. But if you have a choice and you have a capability to maneuver, think smart like a business person and say, I could save 40%. I could save 40% of this debt. I could save this and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, stuff to think about, Andrew. Stuff to think about, man, looking around. But I big up New York all the time as they think out of the box, man. And they really they've done some things that I've liked in conceptually, it's hard to play it out and make it real life. I understand this is a very complicated thing. So I give them leniency as long as Jersey and everybody else, we all have hiccups and all have these things. But it's a lot of moving parts. It is a lot of moving parts. I do have to say, I got to give them a little leniency sometimes and say, guys, they do got a lot to deal with. It is kind of crazy putting all this thing together. So Andrew, let me ask you this. Now, the severity of this whole thing, of this case, what is the severity level, according to you, Super Attorney Andrew Cooper? What would you say is the severity level of this type of lawsuit right here? Could this be something huge? Could this stall this thing for 2 years, like the medical program in New Jersey, right? And I got a really horror story that I'll tell you guys about one of the guys that I know who had went for a medical license in New Jersey. And I felt so bad for this guy. But this is the game we play, ladies and gentlemen. He was going for a medical license back in 2018. He had his building. He was paying rent and everything. Got all the way up till, I think it was a month before they had released the medical. He was so far in the hole, he finally decided to give up his building. And they had released the medical licenses 30 days after the man he had held on for 20 something months, and he gave up that 1 month, and they gave it the next month, guys. So this is a part of this game, man. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and it is a bit of luck and timing also involved. But yeah, you got to be ready to hold. You got to be ready to hold in this game. That's the bottom line, because that's all we're seeing. All these stalls, hold. Jersey, slow rollout, hold. There's over there, hold. There's always something. Lawsuit, hold. You got to have enough money to make it through the hold. You got to be able to know that these things are going to happen. So to Andrew, what is the severity level of this thing, man? Tell us, how serious is this? Could it go forever? Could it go a little bit? Could they get it fixed in a week? What's going to happen?
So here's what will happen.
You sound a little low now, Andrew. I think you did something to your...
I don't know what, you can't hear me at all because I lost my
I hear you now. Yeah,
you got me?
I think you got better now.
Okay, man. Sorry. Better okay now?
Yeah, you good. Okay. Go ahead.
So the fear is that ultimately, if this lawsuit proceeds and there's a determination that the program's unconstitutional, I guess the worst case that could happen is that this program's unwound, right? It's unconstitutional, then it's unwound. Now, that's not going to happen because it's pretty clear what the judge wants to do here is he wants to monitor the program. And we're assuming that once the additional second round of licenses become available, if they become available and they open them up in October, well, this kind of becomes moot, right? Because then the plaintiffs get to apply. And it doesn't really change much because the existing card licensees who've been mired in this process still have the same issues. And remember, part of what brought us here was the fact that New York was having a lot of the same problems as New Jersey. The stuff that we couldn't control, finding suitable real estate. So, the suitable real estate was being eaten up and there was no more available. Now, we can get into details of the way that program works, but what we have in New York, which is unique, is they've created geographic limitations as to where you can be located. Now, we know the SLA guidelines, right? 200 feet from houses of worship, 500 feet from schools. But we also have 1,000 feet from another retail adult use and medical dispensary. So now, you start to do the math, you start to do those circles, and you can go on this SLA's grid and you can look at the sites that basically prevent you from qualifying or getting approval for a given site. So now we have 1,000 feet in the urban areas. We have 2,000 feet in more rural, for example, Long Island and Westchester primarily, and all upstate. But New York City is 1,000 feet. And what we see that applicant licensees are running into all kinds of trouble. And this is prior to the lawsuit, just finding suitable state. And remember, New York on one level is easier. We don't have municipal or township opt-outs, right? All of New York City was in. Now, we have a problem in Long Island, we have a problem in Westchester, but all of New York City was in. So the only restrictions on finding and getting a site approved are the 200, 500, 1,000 feet rule. And the 1,000-foot rule is creating a huge dilemma in finding available space. And that was one of the really big arguments the plaintiffs made. That, listen, all the space is disappearing. Now, New Jersey, you're used to it, right? We get people who are frustrated. They've been trying for months and months trying to find space. And guess what? The state said, we're not going to let you, we're not going to continue the extension of your obligation to convert to annual. So, you know what? New York and New Jersey are incredibly similar when it comes to where we are now, although the path in getting here has been incredibly different.
Right.
You know,
right.
We only have, New Jersey has 30-something retail, medical and retail open. New York has 23 plus 4 or so delivery sites. So despite all these best efforts, we still don't have sufficient places to go buy recreational adult use cannabis.
With all of this, at the end of the day, we still don't have enough places to go out and get it, ladies and gentlemen. And I just want to let y'all know that 1,000 feet rule. You're gonna hear from my daughter Imani State, and she'll be on stage teaching you guys about green zone real estate and showing you how to do this and that kind of thing. But that was one of the biggest things that we that was a huge problem in New Jersey, was the proximity to each other of the other open dispensaries. Because why? People were negotiating in real time. There was a scenario that happened in Jersey City where 2 people actually were negotiating kind of at the same time, didn't know that they were that close, and they came up with a basically lawsuit for Jersey City, and Jersey City had to change their ordinance. Jersey City literally changed and put new things in their ordinance because it was a caveat that they didn't foresee to happen. And it happened, and they made adjustments. So Jersey City's getting a little tired. I saw they put a moratorium on it, said no more unlimited. They're going to put a cap on it now. These type of things are always happening in this game, guys. But 1,000 feet is insane, y'all. I'm just going to tell you. You can hardly find anything when you got 1,000 feet. It's ridiculous. I was in certain towns where they told us 1,000 feet. And then when they gave 1,000 feet and no one could find anything, you know what they did? They said, forget that 1,000 feet. And they shut it. They put it to 500. Then nobody could find. They put it to 250. I went in one town. They said, forget all the rules now. I went in once. First, they were like 500,000 because no one could find it. And the towns want the money. They want people to get in there and operate. So it's smart for them. I mean, they got to do what they got to do. But they didn't add it up. They didn't even know that if they put that 1,000-foot rule in place, even if they put it next to like the churches and the schools and all these urban areas in New Jersey, there's so many churches and schools and everything else that in some of the places, there's absolutely zero places that you can get that abide by the rules. So one of the towns, I laughed at that so hard because they were like, everybody was talking about, oh, we got to protect the kids, got to be this far from a daycare center, got to be this far from a school, got to be this far from that. When the money started talking, and the towns couldn't get those people to operate because of those restrictions, you know what the towns did? Said, man, forget the kids. We don't care about that restriction. Y'all can go anywhere. They let us put buildings right next to a daycare. So, I mean, it is a moot point. And at the same time, it is ridiculous. Another thing is Jersey City. There's a lawsuit there about the university. The university complaining about a dispensary across the street from a university dorm that they smoking weed in right now. They probably selling weed in there, and they're like, nah, you can't have this across the street from university dorm. It doesn't, blah, blah, blah. So crazy stuff, guys. It's part of the Canada game. We got to just laugh at it, keep going, fight the battles. You know what I mean, Andrew? But that 1,000 feet, man, is a killer. I know it's almost impossible with 1,000 feet.
It's been terrible. We have similar issues in New York as New Jersey, but for different reasons. You just have created opt-outs that allow people to opt out of every license type along the vertical. New York, you can only opt out of adult use retail and on-site consumption. The problem is still the same, though. We can't find space because municipalities can create permitting regulations. Now, remember, that's different. That's outside of New York City proper. New York City proper should have been the perfect location, right? One set of guidelines for 5 boroughs, 200, 500, 1,000 feet. But what we learned is that the 1,000 feet rule becomes a problem. It's also a problem that OCM allows licensees to secure multiple sites before they have to select the site they're going to proceed with. So they can, in essence, tie up other viable sites. Get out
of here. Yeah. I didn't know that. Get out of here. Yeah. Are you serious? What?
They didn't really think about that, but that's a big thing now. In hindsight, we realize, these little things could have made a difference because these are the things the plaintiffs pointed out as being the reason we need to stop the program because they were afraid and they argued there's going to be nothing left for us.
Right.
So now while we're talking about why are we imposing a 1,000-foot right? I understand permitting regs, they can do what they want, although they cannot change that. You have bars next door to each other and liquor stores on the same block.
For real.
But somehow cannabis has to be basically a quarter mile away from another.
Right. Which is crazy. And when you start to use the alcohol analogies and similarities, this whole argument just really sounds so ludicrous and ridiculous, y'all. And when you think about it, it just sounds so stupid. When you like Andrew said, there's liquor stores on every corner. Yeah, liquor stores all over the place. There's no regulation. They're not concerned about them, what time you're open, what this, that, and all of this with cannabis. And I'm like, yo, man, alcohol is far more damaging. It's definitely going to create far more harm to a public safety aspect of people getting drunk, fighting, shooting, running, crashing. And cannabis doesn't do that to you. And yet we have all these regulations about it, right? And I laugh at that sometimes too. I laugh about certain states that require, like that. They swear they care so much about your health, but then they let you do other crazy things that are super unhealthy, right? They'll let you kill yourself one way, but they'll try to be a pinpoint and pick and say, well, you don't kill yourself that way. Do it this way. Smoke these cigarettes, drink some this, do that, blah, blah, blah. But you can't kill yourself. You can't do it that way. Got to wear a helmet when you ride that motorcycle. We're so concerned about your life, but we'll let you smoke cigarettes and eat this crap out of the grocery store and kill yourself. But you got to wear a helmet. So I would say those things like that, because it tends to make me say, come on, y'all. We got to really, and I think people are starting to get more progressive. That's what we're starting to see. And it's the old guard. I do see that too. The old guard is starting to make their way out, and the younger generation is starting to bring some of the new stuff in. And I do think a lot of these things are going to change, and they are changing little by little. So I do have hope. Andrew. What about you, man? How do you feel?
I'm an eternal optimist, man. I love the industry. I think we're all united. If we can figure out and agree on what we all want, right, and then work towards that goal, we know what we need, right? We want a beautiful, robust, fiscally responsible, socially responsible marketplace. So what do? Right? We have issues we can't control. 280E is going to be there until it's no longer federally illegal. We have an unregulated market. A lot of the people in the unregulated market want to move to the regulated market. We got to make sure we create pathways for them to do it, because the elephant in the room is always going to be unregulated market. It's going to be hard to compete when the unregulated market is 8, 9, 10 or more times the size of the regulated market. Now, these issues, these stalls, they don't help. 35% or so taxes, they don't help. But we have a pathway. So we should be united in that, because guess what? Everybody agrees on that. The plaintiffs in the RO lawsuit, the Fiore plaintiffs, the Vericite plaintiffs, everybody agrees with that. So let's make sure we give people an opportunity to move, which is one of the things we're talking about in the second round of licensing, right? Create social equity criteria and give them a super priority, right? They fit the bill. They have an opportunity to be licensed. If they choose not to, then, regulation without enforcement becomes anarchy. But you got to give them a path. You got to give them an opportunity to move into the regulated market.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 1,000%, Andrew, man. It's about that pushing all of the guys that have been there from the day one and giving them a way to move into the regulated side of the game, so that way you can neutralize some of that. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have the same problem over and over again. So I do think the overall solution to help a bit more is to try to encourage more of those individuals to move over to the legal operating side of things, right? So so hopefully we can see more of that happen, man. This is going to be a wild run to see it all play out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are just joining us here, we're here with Super Attorney Andrew Cooper, Super Cannabis Attorney Andrew Cooper from New York. He's here sharing with us why the New York's market is stalled and how that affects New Jersey and bordering markets. We're going to talk a little bit about bordering markets, but guys, and make sure you get your tickets October 5th and 6th, realcannabisentrepreneur.com, realcannabisentrepreneur.com. Go there October 5th and 6th. Get your tickets. 40 plus speakers, 1,000 plus attendees. Doubletree going to be off the hook. Andrew's going to be on stage, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to hear even more. We're talking just New York stuff today, and this is very specific. But Andrew's super duper. And guys, and what I'm going to tell you about Andrew too, he's not just an attorney, he's a businessman. He understands other concepts, and those are very valuable when you have two skill sets like that. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring him on stage to share some of the things that are going to be encapsulated and wrapped around business aspects of things that deal with the legal side, guys. So this is going to be a great ride. Make sure you get your tickets October 5th and 6th. All right, October 5th and 6th. Now, Andrew, we're going to talk about this one, because this is another one that I was contemplating. How does this affect neighboring markets, right? And I was thinking about this as a marketer, right? I'm like, ooh, this is really good. How does this affect neighboring markets? And how many different ways could this affect us? And what can we learn from this? and all these other things, guys. When you're in business, guys, you got to always put yourself in other people's shoes. You got to use foresight. You got to think outside the box to think about what could happen. What is it? And that way you start to think of new ideas. So, Andrew, I wanted to talk about this. How does this affect neighboring markets? What do you think, man? What do you think? Like New Jersey.
We've been talking about border effect in cannabis since 2015, 16 with Oregon and Washington, right? Yeah. We saw what happens. We see what happens when you create municipal opt-outs. We see it in Michigan, right? Big communities. Now remember, we're talking about places where they can't even have delivery, right? So now, if you're talking about a community we can't have delivery, then you have created an advantage, a market opportunity for others to be in surrounding areas, situated, positioned strategically to capture market share where there's no one else available. So New York versus New Jersey, it really depends on how long this program is stalled. Because we know that the card program took a couple of months to award licenses, and we're talking about 18 pages and dialogue boxes with a couple of uploads. What happens when they have to review 5, 10, 15, 20,000 applications that look like the applications you had to submit in Jersey, right, when you convert, right? So we're not talking about simple applications. So if this goes on, right, and we have a long delay, then strategic positioned communities in Jersey clearly have an advantage because we just don't have enough space in New York, operational adult use retail dispensaries in New York, right? New York City proper, we have 3 or so at present in Manhattan. We have 2 in Queens. Brooklyn, we don't even have an operational retail site yet because Brooklyn, remember, was delayed. So there are ways to get in and position yourself well. But once again, you have to be in a place where people can get there. So yes, I think Hoboken and Jersey City are going to be places to go because you can jump on the path and you can be there quicker than I can get uptown.
Yep, straight up.
I'd be thinking about that. But once again, my guess is the stall is not infinite. It'll happen. It'll end once they can figure out a way to open up the second round of licensing. But there's a whole bunch of other things we got to talk about at some point because branding and building a brand in cannabis, man, now we're talking about how we need to look at this industry and create a distinguish ourselves from everybody else doing the same stuff. So it ties together.
Yeah, definitely, man. You heard Andrew say it, man. How do we differentiate ourselves? How do you come out and do something new and revolutionary and not just the same old same? That's what we need. Thinkers. We need people who are using ingenuity and other things to devise new solutions and tactics, not doing the same old same, guys. Forget this cookie cutter crap, y'all. We got to get creative, man. Everybody's got to start thinking out of the box. And the more we think out of the box, the more that we can come up with great products and ideas and brands and other things and even concepts. This is such a new industry, y'all. I love new industries because they're so wide open. They're so wide open for so many different things that can occur and so many things that we're going to see occur down the road that we're all going to sit back and say, why didn't I think of that? That was so easy. I say that all the time about Redbox and many other big businesses that were so simple that they put out, like you guys are familiar with Redbox. Those are the ones that put the DVDs in Walmart, and they had the guy who created it. He was a blue collar guy. He wasn't a business guy. He was just thinking very rudimentally, and he put these DVDs machines and they picked them up at Walmart. But now it's $1 billion company. Guy blew it up like crazy, right? Because he's just thinking low level. And I would say, I can't believe I didn't think of something so simple like that. But we're going to see so many things like that in cannabis, y'all. It is just a lot to do. So I want you guys to be some of those doers. I'm definitely going to be some of those doers and create some of these things out here to revolutionize the industry. But I want you guys to think also differently as well and look outside the box. Make sure you get your tickets. Real Cannabis Entrepreneur Conference, October 5th and 6th, Newark, New Jersey. October 5th and 6th. Go to realcannabisentrepreneur.com, realcannabisentrepreneur.com. Now, Andrew, here we go. Now, that was a good point. This is the last one, and then I'm going to let you go, man, because I know you're super busy getting everything together. We're going to get ready for October for you to tear down the stage, man, and do some big things. So we were talking about, what was the last thing we were talking? Oh, we were talking about the effect of bordering, right? And saying, hey, Jersey City, Hoboken, some of those other places will be to benefit from what's going on with the stall and this kind of thing. Now, we've seen it in other states where that's traditionally been the thing, right? People going across the borders, and those border towns are getting more money than everyone else, especially in Arizona. And where else did I see that? New Mexico and Missouri. Oh my gosh. Missouri, guys. Yeah, everybody needs to keep their eye on Missouri. I don't know if everybody doesn't keep them. I watch the numbers, But Missouri's numbers are crazy. They're about to surpass New Jersey, and everyone was bragging about New Jersey as being the biggest market, and we were going to have the biggest market that outside south of California, 1.3 billion. But Missouri's on track to beat it, y'all. I'm telling you, and it's all because of their neighboring states. They got 5 bordering states. So I'm telling you, keep your eyes, and we're going to talk trends, and you guys are going to hear me talk trends and some marketing things that you can use in your business to get ahead and make some money. But that's one of them. That's a no-brainer, guys. It's right there, right there, right there. So Andrew, all right. So last one, last question, and I'm gonna let you go for the day, man, because you gave us so much good stuff. And Montana, Teresa says, yes, Montana. Keep your eye on Montana. She was just out in Montana and told me Montana was off the hook. And I got one of my guys who has a dispensary. He's in my he's in our mastermind group, Teresa. He's been so busy, he hasn't been on a call in a while, but he just opened one in Montana. We got to talk to him. All right. So anyway, Andrew. So before I let you go, man. Now we're going to talk a little can of game so we can talk this to everybody else who's still looking to get into business, still interested, even through all of the bumps and shakes and that kind of thing. I want you to give a bit of advice on how you select the right representative. How do you get an attorney that you really feel comfortable with? How do you select an attorney? What should I be looking at if I go to hire a cannabis attorney and I'm saying, what if I talk to one and I talk to two? What should I be asking? What should I be looking for? What red flags should I look for? This is good, y'all. We're going to get it straight from Andrew, y'all. We're going to get it straight from him. He's going to tell us, what should we look for when you go to hire a cannabis attorney? What should we ask him? What should be some red flags?
Great question. I would ask first, what other practice areas do you work in? Because I see a lot of people out there who claim to be cannabis attorneys, but they still do all kinds of other things that are distracting. So you want somebody who's going to be attentive and responsive. Right now, we need a lot of hand holding. I know that because we do that. And we do that because there's a lot of questions. Remember, cannabis is hard. So not only you got to run a business, but you got to be in the most regulatory and compliance heavy industry, probably next to pharmaceuticals.
For real.
Comparable to healthcare. So if you don't have somebody who's willing to create a relationship with you that's collaborative, that is, if you got to worry every time you pick up the phone, you're going to get an hour bill for whatever that hour costs you talking to your lawyer, you stop talking to him. And when you stop talking to him and you don't have a relationship where you're comfortable having that kind of discussion on a regular basis when you need to, then you're going to stop using them. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get answers. Right now, it's educating. Because listen, we got a big problem. We still got to re-educate people. We have people in this market that still think cannabis is a gateway drug. They don't understand that tobacco and alcohol, and by the way, nicotine vape is legal everywhere, right? They're okay with that, but they still say no to cannabis. So you need somebody who's comfortable and patient. If that's what you need, listen, it's specific to your client. So you have to make sure you're comfortable with your lawyer. And by the way, you're allowed to interview lawyers. You're allowed to interview them a second time because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be paying something for the services they offer. Also, you want to know, what do they do? A lot of lawyers working in cannabis detail transactions, and that's where their job starts and ends. You want a lawyer that understands the industry, not only from being involved perhaps, but kind of an aerial view. Where are we? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? So there are lawyers out there that I work with and I speak to, and any one of them are amazing. They're enthusiastic, optimistic, cautiously so. They're going to help you make smart choices about how you invest your money so that hopefully you will avoid the regulatory and compliance hurdles and pitfalls. You won't get in bed with bad partners, predatory partners, and they'll make sure you have operational support so you can succeed. You need those pieces to be successful in cannabis. Cannabis is hard. It's harder than just about any other industry I can think of. So most people can't do it alone. You need a team. And your team could start or should start with a lawyer who can help you figure out a path.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. That was a thorough answer, Andrew. I didn't expect that one. That was an impromptu question, baby. That was thorough right there. That was a very thorough answer. How you select an attorney, guys. And you heard the question he said. You can interview, right? That was the most invaluable thing that he said right there. You can interview your attorney. You're supposed to interview him. You should be interviewing more than once, right? If it's somebody you're going to partner with, you're going to work with, you should be talking to them and saying, hey, man, let me make sure that we got a good fit before we do some things together, man. So big up to him. And also, Andrew, you said find someone who's not distracted. These other distractions are doing all these other specialties within the firm, man. Cannabis is way too hard, man. It's just it's way too much to be focused on. I really don't think you could juggle other. I mean, a super attorney like Andrew can, of course. He's been doing this with his eyes closed forever. But still, the average person, he can't just be doing this. You got to be focused in on the cannabis because it's a lot to learn. It really is. It really is. So that was some really good points, ladies and gentlemen. And like you said, somebody who's not going to be nickel and diming, hitting you all the time for things, and who's going to offer you operational support. That's another thing that Andrew and some of the things that he does, man, is make sure that all of his clients and everybody that he's working with has a fair shake to really make this thing happen. So that's why I always big up Andrew and everything he's doing. Andrew, for the people who are looking for a great cannabis attorney, New York, Jersey. Wait, you cover Jersey too, Andrew, right?
I do.
Yes, Andrew. So what's your contact that we can give? How can they get to you, man? What's the best way for them if they're looking for a cannabis attorney right now? Guys, I'm just gonna tell you, go get Andrew, man. He's gonna take care of you. He's the one to talk to. If you want to interview somebody, talk to somebody, you need to talk to him first. But what's your contact, Andrew? I'm gonna put it up, or you can put it in the chat if you want to too.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so I'm the chair of the Cannabis and Psychedelics practice group at the firm is Falcon, Rappaport, and Berkman. We have offices in New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Florida, California, and we're expanding to other emerging markets. You can reach me easiest. Well, I can put it in the chat. Gary, what's ever easy? What do you think?
Yeah, throw it in the chat, and I'm going to put it up in the captions, guys. I'll put that also. Andrew's going to throw his contact information in the chat if you guys need any help, if you're going through the process and you need somebody, if you're having a fault, if you're having a bad experience with some other attorney and you need somebody who's really going to help you and really care about seeing you make it to the finish line and actually being successful in operating the business, you need to call Andrew, man, because these are people that are on your side, guys. People who really, really care about this thing and they're ingrained in it. Andrew's ingrained. He's all the way in, guys. He's also a professor at, where are you professor at? Hofstra?
I teach a cannabis law and business class at Hofstra Law School.
At Hofstra Law School. Look at this. And you have a professor on deck that is also teaching the book now, so you know he's studying it from every single angle. Those are the type of people I want on my team, who's going to study it from every angle that I don't have time to study it from. So that way we become the Voltron. That's where you absorb other people's information and build the Voltron, right? I don't have to learn it all. Just like Henry Ford said, I don't have to know how to do math. I got a whole team of these guys who are super duper at math. I don't know how to do the math. I just get them to do it for me, right? That is the way you build businesses, ladies and gentlemen. Scale, utilize other people, delegate, and utilize the things around you. But Andrew, man, that was so much good info today, bro. So much good info. Ladies and gentlemen, throw some A's in the chat, y'all. Throw some A's in the chat for Andrew, man. I mean, he laid it out for us and he gave us, and this was good stuff. And this is not like highly entertaining information, right? This is legalese. This is boring stuff. And we still had a good time listening to it. And I did, and I enjoyed it. And Andrew made me understand a lot more things than I understood about this case. And it's really good. Tom Spooner in the building. Tom Spooner in the building. Tom Spooner's in the building, guys. Get him cashless ATMs. Check him out. Dispensary ProPay. They'll be one of our sponsors in the building. Tom Spooner's in the building. They're going live with Puffin in, what do you say, New Brunswick. New Brunswick, they're running his ATMs today. They're launching. Tom Spooner, check him out. That's his ATM there. All the A's in the building. Big up to you, Laurie from Panacea Payroll, Teresa, Valerie from THCMO Accounting in the building, and all the rest of y'all chimed in. Matt Rubel, big up to you, man. Matt, to everybody else that really took the time to check everything out. Doris, big up to you. I didn't get that. Oh, you probably put it in the private chat, Andrew. There's two chats.
I'm trying to figure that out, man.
Yeah, there's one live and one private, as I didn't see it yet. But I'm going to throw it up once he puts his information on there, guys. Great. And that way you can contact Andrew and get to him, man, because like I said, you need to start with someone that can really guide you through this process. And that's what he's been doing, man, studying it. He's ingrained inside and out. And that's what you need. Those are the people that we bring to you. We're bringing you vetted resources, guys, so you don't even have to go through all of the, rigmarole of being scared about making a bad decision, because everybody we bring you put on our stage or put on our platform are high level, respectable, great individuals, man, that are going to only do great business with you and show you the way. So it's just about jiving and meshing with the people that you work with and to build out your team. Big up to everybody for staying on the whole time. Big up to everybody staying on the whole time. We didn't get nobody to drop, Andrew. They love this content. Nobody fell off. The whole hour they stayed with us, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Big up to y'all, man. This was good. This is good stuff, man. We got to do more of it, guys. Make sure you get your tickets. October 5th and 6th, Newark, New Jersey. October 5th and 6th, Newark, New Jersey. Make sure you get your tickets, ladies and gentlemen, to the conference, man. We're going to do it big. 40-plus speakers, 1,000-plus attendees. And our after party is going to be crazy. Y'all already know. All right, no music. All right, Andrew, did he get it?
Yeah, I can't. I'm not. I'm not having
can't.
access. Yeah, I can't do it.
Oh, you know what? That happened before. That was me. I think I got to do something. Hold on, let me do something now. Never mind. You know what? Do you want me to just give me which contact you want and me to give them?
You can give them myself 516.
No, I ain't giving them your cell. They can't get that personal. Let me give them your email address.
All right. It goes to me.
All right, I'm gonna give them.
Listen, I saw the chat. A lot of these, a lot of friends on this chat already. So
Yes. Big. See, Andrew, man, that's what I'm talking about. Big Super Attorney. Look, he's so giving. He's like, man, throw my cell number. I wouldn't be saying that. Don't put my cell. Look, right. Andrew's like, nah, it's cool, man. They can call me. You know what I mean? There's what attorney you know? What attorney you know is going to be like that, man? What attorney you guys know is going to be like that? You don't know many because they're not really in love with what they do, and that's what you need. You need people who love what they do, and Andrew's that, man. And I'm the same way. You guys can tell when everything I'm into, the marketing and everything I do, man, I exude it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it, man. And Andrew's the same way. He's always about it. He loves to talk about it. We can have a 7-hour conversation about cannabis at any time. You know what I'm saying? Because we just all of that passionate about it. So those are the type of people that you want in your corner, ladies and gentlemen. That's his email address right there. I put up in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. That is am I in the wrong chat? Mine didn't come up either. What the heck is going on? I didn't see mine. Did y'all see my chat? Did y'all see it? Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Yeah. All right, there it goes. There it is. All right, Andrew, I'm going to let you go, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
You guys are going to see him on stage. Any closing remarks, Andrew, you got on the way out, man? Anything you want to say?
No, listen, anybody got any questions, please feel free to reach out, man. I'm in this industry, like Gary said. I don't need to monetize everything. Sometimes it's just a function of giving people access to information. Ultimately, I think that when you make friends, develop relationships, good things happen for both people. So it's all good.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take them out with some A's in the chat. Big up to Andrew Cooper, baby, doing it big for us. Once again, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it, brother. And we're going to talk soon. We'll see you on stage October 5th and 6th, man. Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another powerhouse. Webinar, ladies and gentlemen. Another powerhouse webinar, ladies and gentlemen. And all of y'all stuck with us the entire time. I got to throw those back up, guys. You guys deserve that $20 coupon, guys. Get it right now. $20 coupon, realcanna23.com. You're going to put in a code, webinar fam 20 off. Guys, screenshot that right now. Screenshot it and use that coupon, guys, because you guys are big up to y'all for staying the entire time. Andrew really kept y'all entertained. He kept you guys entertained. Y'all stayed the whole time. I like that. You guys want to learn more about law? I didn't know how much you guys wanted to learn about the law, but it looks like you want to learn some more. So we're going to do some more October 5th and 6th. Andrew's going to be on stage, baby. And I'm going to make him go deep on stage, guys. So you got to come there to hear the real deal. This is surface level, baby. But when we get there, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I got a dumb busy day. I got to keep on grinding, man. You know I would stay on here and kick it with y'all, have some fun, play some music, all that good stuff. But I got to run and gun today, baby. It's time, baby. We got to get this conference all the way popping, y'all. Y'all know how I do. I don't play games, and we got to make it right, and so we're getting it right. All right. Big up once again, Andrew Cooper in the building. RealCannabisEntrepreneur.com. RealCannabisEntrepreneur.com. Make sure you stay tuned. We got a 10-week webinar series. Come back every Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to see more people, more goodies that you'll be able to learn about this can of game, and not from the people that are talking it and reading it and all that kind of crap. We're talking about the people who are doing it, people who are in the trenches that are going to give you real-time information that you cannot find. You cannot Google. It is ungoogleable, ladies and gentlemen. You can find this information from professionals like Andrew who are willing to share, and that's why we try to bring more of these people on our platform. All right, y'all, I'm out, man. Early man action Tuesday. Y'all enjoy the day. Thank y'all so much. See y'all October 5th and 6th. Be back next week, baby. We're going to pop it off even again.